Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and welcome to another video where we're breaking down one of my favorite orc units, and that is of course the four-armed walker that is the Deff. The Deff is a walker for the orcs that has the vehicle and walker and Deff keywords. It has movement 8 inches, toughness 9, a 2+ save, 6+ invulnerable, 8 wounds, leadership 7, and OC 3. It's quite resilient to small arms, and thankfully with its 6+ invulnerable save, the anti-tank weapons do have a chance to bounce off of it. Now, surprisingly, the Deff has more ranged weapons than it does melee weapons, and you can select any 4 of these or any mixture of them. The Big Shooter is Rapid Fire 2, 36-inch range, 3 attacks, hits on 5, strength 5, AP 0, and damage 1. The Custom Mega Blaster is Hazardous with 24-inch range, 3 attacks, ballistic skill 5+, strength 9, AP 2, and D6 damage. The Rocket Launcher is Blast with 24-inch range, D3 attacks, hits on 5s, 9, AP2, damage 3, and the Scorcha is Ignore Cover and Torrent with 12-inch range, D6, hits automatically, strength 5, AP1, and damage 1. I'd really only recommend taking the Custom Mega Blaster, or if you're worried about the hazardous tests, take the Rocket Launcher. Now, for the much more simple weapons, we just have the melee weapons, which is the Dread Claw, which is of course melee. It has 4 to 7 attacks, each extra claw gives you an extra attack. It hits on 3s, it's strength 12, AP 2, and damage 3. Then if you have all ranged weapons, you get Stompy Feet, which is just 4 attacks on 3s, strength 5, AP 0, and damage 1. At the start of the fight phase, each enemy within engagement range of this unit must take a Battle Shock test. This special rule isn't anything special, but in the right situations it could be handy, especially if you're fighting against enemy Deff, as we'll get into here in a moment. Now the Deff functions well in most of the detachments, but the one that's made for it is the Dread Mob, which it changed its name with. The rule is each time an orc walker or Grodd vehicle unit is selected to shoot or fight, roll a d6. Weapons equipped by those models have the corresponding ability until the end of the phase. 1 to 2 gives you sustained hits, 3 to 4 gives you lethal hits, 5 to 6 gives your critical wounds plus 2 AP, or you can select one of these effects and the weapons equipped by that model also gain hazardous until the end of the phase. Or if they already had hazardous, your hazardous tails fail on a 1 or a 2 instead of just a 1. Now this is a pretty huge damage bonus, and when you're using stratagems or going all out, I recommend taking the hazardous tests for picking the buff that you want. If you're wounding on 4s or betters, use sustained hits. On 5s or worse, use lethal hits. But there's some ways to circumvent that, which means sustained hits are probably the better choice for the Deff in most situations. Now in melee, we have the Clank and Claws stratagem, which is when an orc walker is selected to fight, it gains +2 strength and +1 damage if you want to get hazardous. This is extremely useful, as it means you're wounding everything in the game on 3s, and most things on even better. For example, this Knight Errant here, which is way above its pay grade in points and weight. Using a mech's buff, the fight might go something like this. As you can see, with damage 4 at strength 14 and AP 2, even something as beefy as a Knight can't stand up to this 130-point model. Next up, in terms of shooting, we have Daka, which is perhaps the most important stratagem for our shooting combo we're going to cover next. When an Orc Walker unit is selected to shoot, it may reroll hit rolls of 1. You can decide to push it, and those weapons gain the hazardous keyword and can reroll all hits. This of course costs 1 CP. Mixing this in with a mech, which special rule is the following. At the end of the movement phase, you can heal one Orc vehicle model nearby, as well as giving it +1 to hit. Each model can only be affected by this rule once per turn. Now, the Orc mech is essential in these buffs, as it will make him hit in melee on 2s and at range on 4s. And then this is the final piece, bigger shells for bigger gets. When a mech or Orc walker shoots, it gets +1 to wound, if it's targeting a vehicle, and if you push it, it gets +1 damage, bringing those custom Mega Blasters to D6 +1, which means with just the tiniest bit of luck, a shooting phase might go something like this. The custom Mega Blasters really do not play. It's not pictured here, by the way, because finding an image of a custom Mega Blaster Deff is harder than it may seem. But after a volley of 12 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling everything, wounding on 4s, and with D6 +1 damage, that Knight won't last too long. But there is a side effect of these custom Mega Blasters, is that they have the hazardous keyword. So there's not a 0 chance that you won't blow yourself up. But regardless, if a Deff manages to blow up a Knight, which costs around 3.5 times as many points, I'd say it's more than done its job. I think the Dread Mob and the buffs it can bring make the Deff a seriously scary threat at both melee and in range. Even if it isn't the most resilient to anti-tank weapons like meltaguns, it is still tough against small arms and things like autocannons, so it's time to fear the Deff. No matter what you do, this guy should be a priority target. Just watch out for those hazardous rolls. Anyways, I've been Spoons Rattling. We have covered the Deff Dread, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.